Yeah, well, Nick, we're really happy with the support the fundraising received. Fantastic involvement in both the debt and the equity packages from within Australia, but equally from overseas. And it's also fair to say really healthy support from the existing shareholder base. So we're really pleased with the outcomes there. And now we're able to get on with it and continue to push the project towards production as quickly as we can. We were always doing as much work as we could pre the completion of the environmental approvals package and then the final financing. So now we're in a position where we're ready and raring to go, a bit like a coiled spring, ready to hit the ground and get the works underway as soon as we can. And all going well, we should be commissioning the plant from March next year and shipping from the second quarter of 2018. And when you take into account the market backdrop and the demand position that we see unfolding, and especially in China, it's a fantastic position to be in. Yeah, well, the good news is, Nick, that the bulk earthworks have already started. NRW won a key package there for the commencement of the major site works. They're now well into it, and you'd be amazed just how quickly they can move when all the gear's available and ready. And that'll be shortly followed by the major concrete pours and ultimately the erection of the plant itself. With all that in mind, we'll have well and truly the plant construction underway at the time that we commence mining, which will happen later this year. That supports the waste movements that help with the construction of the site infrastructure, including the tailings dam, but also the commencement of ore mining. That's another important milestone that we're all looking forward to. And then, as I alluded to earlier, the plant commissioning, the commencement of initially dry commissioning and then ultimately wet commissioning from March next year and shipping from the second quarter of 2018. We still like the opportunity that DSO ore presents, but it's a case of finding a reliable customer who's prepared to be supportive of that initiative. We don't want to have made the investment or the investment in time and the resources of our people unless we're confident in the customer base. We're continuing to work on it, and I guess the good news is that as far as we can tell, there is still plenty of appetite for the product. So as long as we have a healthy match between our development objectives and the reliability of the customer base, then we'd be happy to execute such a program over a relatively short period of time, perhaps the first year or maybe two of operations. There is a fantastic opportunity to continue to consider the expansion of the Pilbara site. The combined effect of the demand that we see from the market, whether it's existing customers, General Lithium or Ganfeng, or new customers that approach us to try and secure product, we'd say that combined with the scale in the Pilbara resource demands attention for the purpose of continued expansion of the mine. In fact, it's with those two positions in mind that we now think that 5 million tonnes per annum is the best step for the next expansion. To facilitate that objective, we're continuing to work on the engineering that considers the plant's production expansion, and our expectation is that we'll then drive that into a definitive feasibility study, and that we would have finished the definitive feasibility study in the first half of next year. With all that in mind, we'd be able to present a much clearer picture as to the final timelines and the final cost of that expansion. But big picture view, great opportunity to see Pilbara, a large-scale, low-cost operation, continue to support the amazing demand that we see from the market, and as I alluded to earlier, especially China. Yeah, well, we closed the joint venture arrangements with Atlas Iron with respect to the Mount Francisco project. That's actually an important project to us. There's three major pegmatite swarms in the North Pilbara, the pegmatite being the key host for the spodumene and therefore containing the lithia. The three are Pilbara, and Mount Francisco. And when you consider what's now known about Pilbara and what's now known about Wodgina, you'd have to be optimistic about Mount Francisco. So we very much like the opportunity that Mount Francisco presents to us, and we're looking forward to working with Atlas to continue to see that potential realised. We would hope to finish some exploration there prior to the end of the year, and we currently have some drilling there penciled for the month of October. We look forward to demonstrating what might be possible there. At Pilbara itself, well, it's already a very large resource and it's already a very large reserve, but there are some additional drill targets that we'd like to continue to test, and we have some views about how we'd like to continue to grow the reserve. So with those things in mind, we will be doing a bit more drilling at Pilbara during the current half. Yeah, the one sort of key driver in the market that I think is being largely underestimated, especially by the investment community, is the speed with which China is building out its lithium-ion battery supply chain. Massive chemical expansions, massive cell-making expansions, all of that is a key battery feedstock to the burgeoning construction of electric vehicles, both sedans and buses and transport generally. That is being largely underestimated by the Western world, the speed with which China is moving, and that's what's fundamentally driving the battery-grade lithium carbonate price. You know, it's been driven a lot higher in China, and it's being driven by sort of very large underlying fundamental demand for the raw material. Eventually that has to translate to equity value in the assets that are going to continue to feed that raw material demand. Obviously we think Pilbara is an important part of that. The other key benefit that China brings to the table is the speed with which they're going to lower the cost of the battery units, and how that then plays out for the vehicle industry globally, and also the feedstock for batteries as far as energy storage is concerned. The two are really global phenomenons, and they are going to happen much faster than people are currently assuming, and I believe one of the key drivers will be the speed with which China drives the cost of the batteries down, and the speed with which they drop the cost of the vehicles down, and the complementary initiatives for the batteries, other e-mobility, storage, you name it. The fact that the Chinese will lower the cost of the lithium-ion batteries means that they just become the battery of choice anyway, whether it's for an electric vehicle, whether it's for storage, and whether it's for e-mobility, whether it's for ultimately your electric lawnmower. You know, it's all driven by the lower cost of the batteries, and that helps deploy the batteries and consumes the batteries. That phenomenon is happening much faster than people are currently assuming, and that's why we're so optimistic about the position, or the important position, that a project like Pilbara has with respect to global supply. Big opportunity for the Pilbara project, and of course we think a big opportunity for our shareholders.